Hello there. It's, what day is it? I think it's the 5th of October. And, I'm walking back from seeing two different movies at the Cineplex. First movie was the sequel to the Joker movie. And, I was kind of... I didn't mind the first Joker movie. I mean, I kind of was starving for watching more negative reviews of it, to be honest, because I found that there was just way too much, I don't know what the word would be, but I didn't really like the reviews for the first movie. I just found they were just kind of, I don't want to say suck that movie's dick a little bit too much, but it was like just overly praised kind of thing, where I just loved the very few the few critical reviews of it out there that there were. I love them. Yeah. As much as I didn't really like all the reviews sucking the movie's dick, I didn't hate the movie itself. I just kind of didn't love it as much as everybody else loved the first movie. But this second movie, pardon me for rambling about the reviews on the first movie there, but this second Joker movie, I didn't really know what to expect, because it was going to be a musical, and it's like, hey, I ain't uncomfortable going to see a musical. I was actually kind of looking forward to that aspect of the movie, and I guess as far as that goes, there's nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't have mind. I think it would have been better if it was like original songs or something, because I didn't really get a lot out of the second movie. Like, it wasn't like a shocking movie or anything, and it wasn't really a whole lot of fun, to be honest. It was actually kind of fucking depressing. And I don't know what the fuck it wanted to be honest. Like, I'm watching this movie, and I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be getting out of it, because it's all back and forth with any kind of a message that it wants to have. I don't know if it was really trying to say anything. At least in the first movie, there was that whole... He's kind of happier being a psychopath than he is being a regular person, and at least there was a message to that, I guess, where it was kind of like just sort of free the beast and, fuck everybody kind of thing. And yeah, he's a psychopath, and I didn't really like the message, but at least there was a message. What was the second movie? I guess it's kind of one of those don't meet your heroes kind of movie, is if there is a message to it. But I kind of felt like there was no message at all. Like, the message is nobody will appreciate you for who you are, I guess. But I don't know. Well, and that's just it, is I don't really even have anything to say about the fucking movie. Like, I saw the movie. I'm going to the theater wearing my Canada flag cape. It's just part of my outfit. And shit, I didn't. There was almost nobody in the theater. But the movie's been out for a couple days. It's only been a couple days, and they got this movie in 2 theaters. But it didn't seem like there was all that many people going to go see it. And last week, I went and saw 2 movies, and that was I saw The Wild Robot, and I saw Transformers 1. And I didn't have a problem with either of those movies last week. Maybe they showed a little too much of the wild robot in previews, where I felt like, I kind of got the bulk of what was going to happen from the preview, but it was still a nice experience watching that movie. And then the Transformers 1 was pretty good. It's got a lot of comedy in it, and I was giving it like a 8.5. That was last week. And I watched it again. That was the second movie I saw after watching Joker. I said, what's on right now? And in a half an hour, the Transformers was starting. And so I said, yeah, you know what, I'll watch that movie again. And this time I'll watch it in 3D. I am tired of the 3D. I don't get any real enjoyment out of the 3D. And I find it's just stressing on the eyes. Where you're kind of, I feel you're getting less information a lot of the times from the 3D. Last week I watched Transformers in regular, and I think it was better watching it in 2D than watching it in 3D, because I'm watching it in 3D and I'm finding half of what I'm looking at is just out of focus, and it's just giving you the feeling that you're watching a 2D regular definition and then a bit out of focus to kind of give you the feeling. It's like forcing your focus more than feeling 3D is really what it is. Because I watched Transformers last week in 2D, and I think it was just a better experience. Even when it comes to like depth of field and stuff like that make you feel like you're in a big area above a huge skyline and stuff like that. I think it was more effective in 2D than it was in the 3D. But the 3D, I think the 3D for the Wild Robot was a little bit better done than the 3D for Transformers 1 there. But as far as watching both those movies tonight, watching Joker and watching, I will say, I wasn't expecting to see an awkward as all hell sex scene in the Joker movie. Wow, that was, there's a lot of, like, looking back at that movie where I'm legitimately kind of laughing at the experience, and I think that was intentional. They had that a little bit in the first one too, where it seemed like comedy beats. But yeah, that sex scene was like funny, and I don't know if it was supposed to be or not. It was more like awkward funny, like, yeah. There was a lot of that in, well, no, there wasn't a lot of it. There wasn't very much that was funny about the Joker movie, and it wasn't like I say, a brutal, shocking movie or anything. Like, it's 14A, and I don't even know if it needed to be 14A. What fucking, like, I'm trying to think anything major that really happened in that movie. Like, there was some, dark moments. Like, it's not a PG movie by any means, but it had no payoff. Like, I don't want to have to say spoilers, because I figure myself, I think any review should have spoilers in it, because I get irritated more when I'm watching a review and people won't talk about a movie. Like, if you're watching somebody talk about something, then you should be able to hear their thoughts on it, I think. But spoilers, like, that movie was not very fucking violent. Like, at all. Like, yeah, did anybody die in that movie? I don't think anybody died in, oh, well, I guess spoilers, fucking, I don't even want to say it, because now I'm like because it's the end of the movie. Okay, so spoilers for the end of the movie. Arthur Fleck fucking dies as a punchline of a joke, which is almost funny. And I guess going back to the whole comedy beats thing, was the death of Arthur Fleck supposed to actually be funny? Like, kind of like some dark slapstick? they kind of have this slapstick moment, slapstick parallel where I think it's kind of like what it is he gets a smoke from the guard when he tells a joke, and he's like, thanks buddy, and he kind of like gives him a pat on the back, and then the guard just like wails him on the back of the head, and it's not, you know, and the scene just kind of goes on sort of thing, and it's like in a different context that could have been like a slapstick scene, but it's obviously like an abusive, mean scene, and it's I don't know where I was going with that, but there's all these beats where you're like, well, that's just so brutal, it's almost funny. It's like when they're beating the shit out of him in the first movie, where it's like he gets kicked in the nuts, and it's like, that's almost slapstick, where it's like, slapstick is brutal in real life. Like, if people actually acted like that, yeah, that would just be mean, and I think that's kind of the idea, if it was trying to say anything. I don't know if it was or not. Yeah, like, I think his death was kind of done as like this brutal slapstick thing, where get what you fucking deserve is pretty much the punchline to his death, in the same way he used it to kill somebody in the first movie. And it's like, I actually thought he was going to laugh at his own death, because the guy's like, how does it go? I'll just say what it is at the end, like, you know, watch the movie. I know I'm like spoiling the movie, but whatever, it's a joke at the end of the movie. And I'm sorry. And the thing is, I'm sorry if I'm just spoiling the movie. Feel free to just like watch something else kind of thing, but I'm gonna jump all over the place because I do want to talk about this quite a bit. I just kind of have to kind of talk through things in order to go through the movie a little bit, and I know I'm like right at the ending, so maybe I'll hold off on telling the ending bit, even though I kind of already spoiled it, that it's his death. But I guess that joke is kind of the end of the movie, so I feel bad for like spoiling it, but fuck it, I was gonna say it anyways. What the joke is a guy, and it seems like Arthur's death is totally set up, like the guards and everybody are in on it. That was at least what I got from the way his death plays out, because basically they're like, hey, you got a visitor, and so he's like led in this hallway where he's all alone, and this guy comes up and he's like, hey, I got a joke, and he's like, well, can you make it quick? He's like, yeah, I can make it quick. This psychopath goes into a bar, and he sees a clown sitting there, and this clown is all drunk and pathetic. It's just a mess. And so the psychopath goes up to the clown and is like, how does it, and I don't even remember how this fucking joke goes, but it's basically like, the psychopath goes up to the clown and he's like, oh wow man, I'll get you, let me get you something, like what do you drink? And the clown's like, if you're paying, I don't care, you just get me whatever you want. And the guy's like, okay, then I'll get you what you fucking deserve. And then he fucking stabs the shit out of him, and it's like a punchline. And I kind of thought they were going to have the thing, because that's his whole deal, is that he laughs at inappropriate times. And so they're going to have him laugh at his own death. And it's like, oh, it's kind of like a victory for Arthur as a human being in a way. Because it's kind of the whole battle between Arthur and the Joker and all that. Where, is he just compulsive? Is he faking it? Like, what's the deal with him? We don't even really know by the end of it. But at a time when you kind of expect him to laugh, he doesn't. And I think that was the intention, but I don't know. And then, of course, they play That's Life. Yeah, they played it at the end of the last movie, I think it was, and then they played it at the beginning of this movie, and then they played it at the very end. And it's like, it's another punchline. It's like, that's life. Like, that's life. Yeah. And he's dead. And so, yeah. And that's just it, is the music in general was, I don't even know how I feel about it, because it's like I really was amped, like more than I thought, about wanting to see a musical. Yeah, like I was looking forward to seeing like some crazy shit, to be honest. I think that's the first disappointment. And it has these dream sequence things, which they have no... Okay, that's the thing that they do totally differently in the second one. In the first one, there's some like, is he dreaming? Is he not dreaming? Is it fake? Is it not fake? In the second one, it's like, no, it's so obvious when something isn't real. It's really, really obvious. And it's like, that's fine. Like, I don't really give a shit. But it's just really different from the first one. But anyways, oh yeah, and that's the other thing. The way this movie talks about, oh yeah, there's a TV movie that was based on Arthur's life or whatever. And so there is a Joker movie in the Joker movie that people talk about, and it's like, they're kind of like they're talking about the first movie, but it's like, I don't know. But some of the musical stuff was cool, because I mean, like, they got the colors going. It's like he puts on his clown makeup and everything, gets that suit going. It's like, yeah, like, this is a perfect get up for having a musical sequence. And it's like kind of his moment to shine, sort of thing. But that's just it, is when you make it really obvious that these scenes are fake and not actually happening, it really adds up to not really anything happening in the movie when you think about it. Like, nothing fucking happens in this movie. Like, nothing. Arthur Fleck, the Joker, is going to be a fucking father, and I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be true. By the end of it, it could have just easily been some bullshit. But yeah, that goes nowhere at all. And he gets broken out of the courtroom, and fucking Harvey Dent almost dies. They blow up a big bomb to like break him out of the courtroom near the end there, and he like barely survives that. Like, he just fucking... But that's a fair enough Joker thing. You just accept the Joker just survives explosions and things like that's fine. Like, you don't even flinch at that. But he just gets out. Some of his Joker fans, like, they go, holy shit, you're him, and they like get him in a car and they're like gonna spirit him away. And then he like comes to his senses and he's like, I don't want to be with these people. I don't know where they're bringing me. Like this could be bad. I don't want to be part of a cult. Like, I don't want to go through the end of the first movie again. And so he just runs away from them and finds his girl, who doesn't want to be with him anymore because... Oh yeah, and that's just it. And I'm kind of working my way backwards. He goes full Joker at his court case. He basically becomes lawyer Joker and does an impression of a Kentucky lawyer and just makes an ass out of himself. And that's kind of like the whole thing. It's like he doesn't even get his moment to like make a point in the courtroom or whatever. It all just kind of goes nowhere. Like, if you want, I want to be charitable or look at this from a bunch of different ways. I can't remember his name, Mr. Puddles, the little person, the guy who he didn't kill in the first one. He let him go because they were friends. He kind of destroys the Joker by just being like, why are you being mean? You know, like he basically just kind of like lays it out as like, you ruined my, like, oh, you spared me, like, thanks, asshole. Like, I live in fear of a clown killer for the rest of my life, and I can't go back to work. And like, Arthur gives a shit. Like, he's upset that this guy didn't watch him on TV. And he's like, oh, you didn't see me on the Murray Sullivan show? And it's like, you ruined this guy's life. And you're just, like, having fun. And it totally gets to Arthur. Like, because the thing is, this guy actually appreciated Arthur as a human being. He appreciated Arthur for the guy he was, not the Joker or whatever. He was just a nice guy who didn't make fun of the little person, and he appreciated that. And then he becomes this mean, like when he's being the Joker lawyer, he's basically making fun of this guy who he never made fun of when they worked together. And he doesn't, like, make fun of his size for the most part. Like, first he's really motivational, actually. He's like, go get him, kind of thing. But then he just, like, goes full on Joker. And he's being mean to this guy. He's, like, making fun of his name. And then when the judge is like, oh, you won't make this courtroom into a circus, he's like, oh, I think it's a little late for that. It's like... and that could have kind of been like, is he actually making fun of his height? Like, that's the one thing he wasn't doing. And so it was just like, he's just being an asshole. And so, like, when Mr. Puddles there is like, why are you doing this? He's just like, what are you talking about? Like, I spared you. And it's just like, yeah, you don't actually get points for sparing someone's life, because you were the thing that endangered their, like, you didn't save his life, like you just didn't kill him. And so he has no reason to, like, oh, we're friends or whatever. It's like, no, man, like, he lives in fear of you, and he used to think you were a nice guy. And it's like, I think that was, I don't know if it was supposed to be like the thing that brings him back to reality, but that was how I got it, is that this person, and I can't remember his name, his first name, but I know Puddles was his last name, because fucking Arthur makes a big deal about making fun of it. But, yeah, it kind of seemed like his humanity sort of came through, and then he full on says there is no Joker and all, and that's when he loses his girlfriend, because he killed the fucking fantasy by saying there is no Joker. And so she just walks out of the courtroom, and he's trying to get a hold of her, and he, like, leaves a song on her answering machine. And the songs are so, that's the only part that really makes you question what's real and what's not real, is there are times when he might actually be singing. Maybe, I don't know. It's a musical, and that's, like, just musical logic, and I appreciate how stupid that is. And there is another part that goes back into that, like, is this supposed to be funny, or is this supposed to be a tragedy, or whatever? Like, when you convert slapstick into reality, it becomes cruel. There's also this moment after he runs away from the Joker guys who save him. Well, they don't really save him. They just, like, get him. They just kind of scurry him away from the courtroom, trying to stop him from getting caught and all that. But anyways, he goes up the Joker stairs, and there she is, just on the stairs. Like, he's just going there, and she's just there. And I guess that kind of makes sense, but not fucking really. I guess it does. Like, she could have just been there waiting for him, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't real and it's all a fantasy, and we're going back into that shit. But he's talking to her, and he's like, I'm still me. I'm still the murderer. And she's like, no, you're not. You're a limp dick. Like, you suck. But then she, like, I don't know if she was trying, like, one last chance to, like, get it up, or she was kind of showing that she's crazier than him, is that she just starts singing. Like, she goes into the musical, and he's not in the musical anymore. He's like, I don't want to, no more singing. Like, I just want to talk. And it's like, okay, you're using musical logic in real life, and that's fucked up. And it's like, yeah, if someone just started singing randomly, it would be really fucking weird. But at the same time, have they been singing the whole movie? I don't know. Oh, we got some flashing lights up here. I'm not sure if someone's coming over here or what. I'm just gonna start walking. What's going on here? I'm just gonna kind of keep talking and walking because I'm gonna pause this and just see what's going on. I'll be right back. Oh, never mind. Somebody's just getting pulled over. But yeah, I was looking at the ratings for Joker Foil de Dieu or whatever it's called, and it's at 40%. And when I was done with that movie, I kind of agreed. I was like, yeah, 40% seems like about right. And it's like, part of me wants to be not so hard on this movie, but it's like, I spent over $15 on this fucking movie ticket. So it's like, here's the thing. I went and saw Transformers 1 twice. I knew what I was going to get the second time around, and I didn't feel like I wasted my money on that. Do I feel like I wasted my money on the Joker movie? Because part of you would always wonder what it was if you didn't see it, but no, I think I had to see that. Because I wouldn't, because it's a musical, so like that, so you have to assume that people are being too harsh on it. The fact that it was a musical is nothing wrong with it. I'll just say that right there. I was totally amped to watch a musical set in Gotham City. Like, that's fucking, like, what more can you ask for, man? Like, holy shit. But I don't know. I don't really know what this movie wanted to be. I don't know if it would have been better or... I think it actually would have been a lot worse if I rewatched the first movie before watching this. That's just me. I don't know why I'm so sure of that, but part of me is like, this movie... Did this movie hate the first movie? Like... Because this movie is about the first movie. Like, in every way. And it's like he's hooking up with one of his fans of the first movie is basically the plot. But it's like, it's a depressing fucking movie, because it's like, think about it. He just becomes the Joker, kinda, at the end of the first movie, and he seems like he's in his swing. And in the second movie, he's just, nah, fuck that. Like, I'm Arthur Fleck, motherfucker. Like, I am a depressed, sad little man, and the guards kind of pay me in cigarettes if I tell jokes and shit like that. And so, like, people know who I am, but I'm sane now. I think it's going back into the whole, like, does he need the medication? I don't get it. I'll just say that. Like, I have no problem saying that. I don't care if it makes me sound stupid. Like, what are you trying to say between the first movie and the second movie? And maybe that's where seeing the first movie again might actually help a little bit. But the medication and everything. Like, they make a point about him going off of his medication in the second movie. And that, basically, that's when he starts wearing the makeup and everything. I don't know, man. It's a sad movie. But not like... No, I guess it's just a sad movie. If that was the intention, they succeeded. Like, the story of Arthur Fleck is a very sad, depressing little story. It's like, it's only 2 movies long, but it's like... What more can you ask for? I could ask for a lot more. Like I say, I paid $15 for that ticket. Yeah. Yeah, I think I can't recommend that movie. Like I'm trying to think if I liked anything about it. Because, I mean, like, they have the musical sequences and stuff like that, and it's like, were they any good? I don't even know. Like, I should know that much, right? I should be like, it made an impact on me, and I have an opinion about these musical sequences. This movie was a fucking musical. But I don't know. Is the point of this movie is that musicals are bullshit? Because if that's the point, then okay, you did it. But I mean, it was just depressing. Like, there's no big... And I found the first movie is kind of depressing. That's what I was saying. It was like, the story of Arthur Fleck is just a sad story. And I think that's a total failure as a Joker story. Because at least the first movie kind of established that it liked the skin that it was living in, that it's like, okay, he's crazy and he's happier being a crazy person than he is being a sad person who just gets beat up by life. Like, I got that, and there are problems with that, but that made sense for a Joker movie, not for a real moral or anything. It's shitty to make the Joker the hero of your story, which maybe they realized when they were making the second one, and they're like, okay, we'll have a what happens when he gets what he wants? He just fucking derails the whole thing. And it's like, okay, but when did we get to actually see him be the Joker? I don't know. Well, I guess that's why you have all the fantasy sequences, because it's like he gets to actually have his time to shine when he's in his own head, kind of thing. And it's like, well, fair enough, but too bad he couldn't have just been in his own head all this time, and because that was the whole thing in the first one, is nobody knew what was real. So it was like, he could just be a guy who has these dark fantasies, and that's how he's happy, is that he thinks about being the Joker. But when you have it be like, well, he killed 6 people, like it's flat out, like, you know for a fact, like, this shit went down now. I don't know. I really don't know. And I should know. I just watched the movie, but most of his... It's so sad, because it's like most of his happiness, including his relationship, exists in his head. And that was a depressing thing in the first one, which they talk about a little bit, because he thought he was in a relationship with that girl, but he was actually, like, connected with somebody in this movie. But it was just, like, he might as well not been hooked up with her at all. Like, it might as well have just been another fantasy, and it was just in his head. Because most of it was in his head, and before any shit hit the fan, he was already fantasizing that she was going to betray him. And so it's like, even his fantasy kind of sucked. Yeah. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws now. I should talk more about the Transformers movie. Because I actually, like... Well, let me think. That movie was funny. Stuff was happening. It has a big, vibrant world. And then you get to just weed through all your references as you're watching this movie, you know? Like, when, and I cannot remember the female Transformer's name, even though I watched this movie twice. She says to Orion Pax, young Optimus Prime, "You don't have the touch or the power." It's like, oh, that's funny. I like that. And I remember, and you know, fair enough, I saw it twice, but I feel like Transformers 1 is a lot more memorable than Joker 2. Like, I'm just pissed off. I think I am legitimately pissed off that I spent money on Joker 2. Because I just didn't really enjoy the experience, you know? And I think that was kind of my problem with the first one too, is it's like, if you don't feel, well, here's the thing. In the first movie, it doesn't work if you don't feel bad for Arthur Fleck. And that's where I was lost a little bit in the first one, because my whole thing is every homeless guy in Gotham City has it worse than Arthur Fleck. So boo-hoo Arthur Fleck. But, you know, he had some harsh shit happen in his life. Not denying some of his backstory stuff is pretty bad. But if you don't, you have to feel sorry for Arthur Fleck for the first movie to work. But in the second movie, it's just feeling so... Well, it's not just feeling sorry for Arthur Fleck, but when you come down to, like, what actually happens in the movie, I feel sorry for him. You know, like, maybe I shouldn't, because he's done some bad stuff, and I could just as easily fall in the situation as, like, boo-hoo, life could be much worse. But, yeah, like, Arthur just wants to be loved. And that's just the sad truth. And that's not really a sad truth, that's just the truth. He just wants to be loved, and he wants to make people laugh. Or he kind of did at one point in time, but his comedy's so twisted, he doesn't know how to make other people laugh and make himself laugh at the same time, and so he ends up attracting a whole bunch of people he doesn't really relate to, even though he thinks he does. But he kind of gets confronted with that at the end of the movie, where it's like, holy shit, I don't want to be with the clown people. Yes, the truth behind Arthur Fleck's heart is that he wasn't a juggalo. This whole time, you all thought he was the master juggalo, but really, no, there's no Faygo for him. Is Faygo the drink? I can't remember. I'm pretending to know what ICP stuff is. And there's so much, like, ambiguous stuff where it's like, did his girlfriend set off the bomb? Was that just a thing that his fans did? Like, who actually broke him out of the courthouse? Who knows? And I keep going back to Joker 2, because I want to rant angrily about that movie, but it makes me mad that it made such little of an impact on me, and so I can't rant about nothing. I'm like, oh, it made me feel so, and nothing. And it's like, you know, that's just it, is, there's just unnecessary, like stuff in that movie that made no, like, because I want to remember the stuff that actually, like, irritates me, because I think that's good ranting material, is, Joker has, like, his little buddy in prison there, and they just have him getting killed off. And that just happens. And it's like, oh, this is obviously setting up for Arthur to get revenge, right? Like, he can be the hero Joker of this movie, where it's like, yeah, he's the Joker, but he can still give somebody comeuppance kind of thing. And it's like, no, his fucking friend just gets murked, like, in a really brutal way that you hear happening off screen. And first it seems like it was going to be like a setup for he's gonna have like a riot in the prison or something like that. And it's like, no, like the riot just gets killed by, like, it's a one-man riot, singing The Saints Are Marching In, and he gets killed off screen by a guard that is, for the most part, not shown to be that bad of a guy. Like, he's an asshole and he smacks Arthur around, but it's like, then he just like murders the guy and gets away with it. And it's like, okay. And then Arthur gets murdered, and then it's like, okay. And then the movie ends, and it's like, what? Like, it doesn't go dick fucking nowhere. And possibly there's his child is out there, and then all the fan theories can be like, well, that's the real Joker, or the guy who stabbed him and was laughing, that's the real Joker. And it can go on and on forever and ever. Yeah, this movie kind of pissed me off. Go watch Transformers 1. That movie's great. I actually like it more and more the more I think about it, because stuff happened in that movie. It has layers of stuff happening. I watched it twice. I knew what was going to happen the second time, and I still enjoyed it. Like, you have young Optimus Prime, and I'm just going to call him young Optimus Prime because I don't want to call him Orion Pax. But I do want to remember that name because I keep forgetting it. And I can never remember if young Megatron is D16 or D17. I think it's D16. But, yeah, you have young Megatron and young Optimus Prime as chums. And it's like, oh, that's always, like, nice to add the little, like, backstory and stuff like that. And, you know, I think it needed some better bad guys. Like, you needed to, like, because they have the Quintessons in there. They don't really get, there's a flashback battle scene with them, but you don't really get a good fight with them in the movies. They're just kind of part of the plot. And so, yeah, that might be the one downfall, is like you needed more of a villain. And they had the villain in Sentinel Prime. He was a little lame, to be honest, but you're not really fighting him the whole movie. It's more like uncovering a mystery and stuff like that. And then when they do get down to fighting all of their guys at the end, it's kind of like too many faceless grunts. Because you can see there are a lot of Transformers that are like referenced, but those aren't the ones that are like fighting. And it's like what's a good example? Jazz is saved in the mines, and but they're like some of the Transformers that are miners, and they don't have their transforming cogs or whatever they call them, and so they're not. No, I guess they do have all the miners come in at the end. So I guess they do have their scenes in a way. But I don't know why. Like, there's so many Transformers characters, there's no reason to ever have faceless grunts in Transformers. You can all, like, and that's not even, like, I'm not like a diehard Transformers fan, but I know there are so freaking many of them that it's just inexcusable. And the way they were doing all the references, it seems like all timelines existed at the same time. And I'm not being specific enough with that. Basically, it's like you got your beast form Transformers, and you got your several different modes Transformers. Like there's a spider helicopter, who I don't think ever turns into her spider form in the whole movie. I'm pretty sure she just turns into the helicopter. And her like robot form, which is part spider, I don't think she's ever actually fully transformed into her spider form. And then vehicles all over the place. And so it was like there's a couple different kinds of Transformers floating around here, which is nice for variety. Because you're like, yeah, if you had a few generations of robots, they might have figured out a bunch of different ways to transform. I don't know. What's realistic? It doesn't have to be about realism. It's just entertaining. And so I felt the effort, like, because you could argue that there was a lot of world building, and it seemed like it was kind of a pre-generations point where there's like the race is probably where you get the most named characters. I that's where I'd have to rewatch things, because you watch that and there's just names up the wazoo, and there are names up the wazoo all throughout the movie. That movie, I'm not a big enough Transformers fan to enjoy this movie, is the truth. Is that there were so many references in there, I couldn't get them all. There were probably plenty of background characters that were references to things that I didn't understand, but, you know, I knew that there were nobody from Beast Wars floating around there. Unless you count like Megatron and Optimus, but those are in name only. That's just me nitpicking now. Because I'll just say what I'm trying to say is that there was Optimus and Megatron in Beast Wars, but they're technically not the same Optimus. That's one of the few times. In most series, they are the same Optimus Prime and Megatron. But in Beast Wars, that's one of the few times where they're like the next generation Megatron and Optimus. Yeah, I just thought I'd clarify that. Yeah, but I guess I'll try to go into a Wild Robot a little bit, just so I'm rounding it out. That's another movie I recommend. I don't know if it needed to be seen. Like, Transformers 1, see that in the theaters. There's some really cool, like, the whole planet is a Transformer. And so, like, you get to see the landscapes like Transformer, and it's really cool. There's a lot of reasons to see that in theaters. The Wild Robot was a good movie, but I don't know if I needed to see it in theaters. I'm glad I did. And it's always nice going to the theaters because they always thank you. There's like the thing before Transformers 1 where it's like, thank you for seeing it the way it was meant to be seen. And it's like, oh, thank you, Thor. Because Chris Hemsworth plays young Optimus Prime. And it's a nice little, it makes you feel appreciated, you know? And it's like, because, you know, fucking streaming services and everything take away from everything. Oh, and that's where another reason where Joker falls flat. There was no thank you for seeing Joker. And it's like, it's not like you need that, but it's like, I might have needed that in this movie. For Joker 2, I think I needed a thank you for coming to the theaters for that one. Because it's like, no thank you. Like, I didn't hate the musical numbers or anything like that, but I don't feel like it painted a big picture together, or at least the one that... No, it didn't really. The music was kind of at odds with the story that was being told, because the movie wants to be a musical, but the story of Arthur, he's a human being, and human beings aren't characters in musicals. And so it's like, yeah, I get it, but I wanted to watch a movie. You know? It would be like I'm watching the musical Hair about the hippies, and then instead of that touching moment at the end, and I don't want to spoil that movie. I'm not spoiling Hair. You watch that movie. That movie's fantastic if you want to watch a musical. Get ready to cry. But anyways, it would be like if instead of continuing the storyline with Hair, they decided to veer off and learn to not sing so much, because life isn't a musical. Even though they had a really good storyline, they were like, I wanted to watch the Joker sequel. I feel like I didn't watch the Joker sequel. I'm going to just keep going back to this. Like, what the fuck? Like, I went to the Joker sequel, and the great big thing that the Joker had to say is there is no Joker. And it's like, well, that's great. You know, that is great for Arthur Fleck. The fact that he gets to find his humanity again, which leads to him being alone and dead. And it's like, what a great movie. You know, like, it's funny. It's so bad, it's funny. Was that the intention? Then you did a good job. If you were actually trying to make the sequel to your big, like, the movie that all these people loved, and like, I wasn't even the big fan, like, don't put fingers in a kid's mouth. That was my big criticism of the first movie. Is like, that was fucked up, and they did not emphasize how fucked up that was. Like, and I mean, for the people who made the movie, that's fucked up. Don't do that even when you're making a movie. Don't ever do that. Fuck. But yeah, if you wanted to make a sequel, like, okay, let's say it's genius, okay? Let's just do the argument that everyone will say who'll suck the first movie's dick. Be like, this is the most genius filmmaking that was ever done, because what they've done here is first he made a masterpiece that everybody absolutely loved. And then, as the ultimate punchline, he kills the series by making a intentionally terrible sequel. Yes. The death of the Joker, the death of Arthur Fleck, is the punchline. And we'll make it so there will never be a sequel. And maybe, much like how Heath Ledger revolutionized the Joker, this will make it so no one will ever want to play the Joker ever again. Because it sucks so bad. He just washes off the makeup and goes, I don't want to do this no more. Like, here's the thing. Blow up the courtroom and have him get away and just not be the Joker. That would be fine. Have Arthur Fleck be Arthur Fleck. And he goes and gets a fucking puppy. You know? Like, if you want Arthur Fleck to have, like, some kind of triumph of humanity, then give him something. But you gave him dick. You kill the guy at the end, and it's like, that's a terrible fucking ending. Like, you give the audience nothing. You don't get a Joker. You don't get a happy ending. You don't get... what don't you get? You don't get fucking anything. You just get a movie that I don't think I could ever imagine rewatching, even though I'm kind of want to rewatch the musical sequences again, but just as individual sequences. But it's not like I enjoyed it so much that I was like, yeah, I really want to hear this song again or that song. No, I don't give a fuck. Like, there wasn't... This is a Joker musical. Had Lady Gaga in it. That should have been something. It kind of wasn't. Like, fuck. I'm just pissed off. Now, The Wild Robot. I saw previews for that for quite a while. When did I first start seeing previews for The Wild Robot? Long time ago. Months ago. And I saw that and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to see that movie. It's not like I haven't been to a movie in a long time, but it was like, I saw that preview and I was like, you know what? I want a feel-good family movie that I just don't have to think very hard when I'm watching. And you know what? It surprised me. There's a non-zero amount of death in The Wild Robot, actually. There... Huh. There is more death in The Wild Robot than there is in the Joker sequel. Am I wrong about that? Let me think about this for a second. Well, I'll spoil the Wild Robot. Does anybody want to know the kill count on the Wild Robot? Okay, and it's not like, oh, see, now I make it sound horrible. What it is there's well-used instances of characters passing away in the Wild Robot. There's an off-screen murder in Joker 2, and I might be just forgetting something else that happened in that movie, but I'm pretty sure only one person dies off screen in Joker 2. Where in the Wild Robot, accidental, and yeah, I hate to just go to that, but we're comparing Joker with the Wild Robot, so the things are going to get weird. The Wild Robot has basically a nest getting squished when the robot's like falling down a mountain. And so it's like, it's accidental, but it's like, it happens. And so, what's the count on that? Is a couple eggs and the mother. And so, and then there's another part later on in the movie where a goose valiantly fights a robot, another robot, not the Wild Robot, to save the flock. And there's a part where our valiant main character is going around collecting all basically the winter's too harsh and everybody's freezing to death. And so the robot is going around collecting everybody to bring to the warm enclosure so they won't freeze to death. But while searching, they find a nest where they were too late. And so, yes, the Wild Robot does go over that topic, surprisingly. And that's weird. But I don't think it takes away from the movie at all. I think it's done tastefully and had a point. You know, the things that were missing in some other movies. But yeah, the Wild Robots are a real nice movie to watch. That was basically all I can say. The robot designs were cool, and it was a very straightforward, funny little story, about a robot getting lost in the wild and learning to, basically it uses its advanced translation technology to slowly learn how all the animals speak. And so it sits there for, I don't even know how long, they say months or something, and it's not moving at all. It's just learning from what the animals are saying, and eventually it figures out how to speak to all the animals, and so it's looking for someone to help. And because of an accident, there's an egg that needs help, and so the robot, after accidentally wiping out the nest, takes care of the little egg and raises it with the help of the friendly fox, who at first tried to eat the egg. It's nice. They have the robot makes little laser etchings on these pieces of wood as to show the little gosling growing up, and the gosling is like a runt of the litter. Bright Bill. Oh wait, and he's got another name too. He's also Gosling number 178 or something like that, because being named by a robot. Antics ensue. Yeah, I would say go watch Transformers 1. Go watch The Wild Robot. I don't know if I can recommend going to watch Joker 2. Even if you're like the first one, I don't know if there's anything for you in the second one. It's just a sad end to old Arthur Fleck there, is really what it is. But I keep going back to it. Oh, I think I see some geese up there now. But yeah. Just walking home now. Just by the museum here, kind of walking back and forth, ranting about movies and such. It's a nice night. It's not too cold. Yeah. That's a funny horn. Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah. That, yeah. Oh yeah, there's this weird thing. Because that's the thing with Transformers prequels, is it never knows what it wants to be a prequel to, except for the original series. Everything wants to be a prequel to the original series. But Transformers 1 did this thing where it seemed like it wanted to be setting up for the original series. Or at least what I'm going by is the Megatron design. It's because he gets this arm cannon that's really Generation 1, like the original series. But then as things go on, he gets like an upgrade. And so he has like this big triple arm cannon, which is very not Generation 1. So it's like, I guess it was just a reference. They just had him look like Megatron the way we knew him. But then he's like, okay, we'll do an original Megatron design with this triple arm cannon. And so it's kind of like its own thing, I guess. But when you do that, you kind of establish, oh, obviously this can't be a prequel to Generation 1. Because Megatron's already up to 3 barrels here. And he's a tank. And in Generation 1, he turns into a pistol. So, what the fuck happened? But some things are goofy enough in Generation 1 that it's kind of hard to do nowadays. Like Megatron turning into a pistol-sized gun that fits into the hand of another Transformer. Good old-fashioned shit like that. Everybody loves the bad acetron line. Like that line kills in theaters. Both times people were laughing. And if you don't know what that line is referencing, then you need to watch the movie. I'm pretty sure that's in one of the previews. Maybe not. A little bit of a breeze. Yeah, I recommend Box Hot if you're looking for disposable vaporizer for pot. Box Hot seems to make some really good stuff. I use all sorts of brands though, so go with whatever you want to go with. But I'm just gonna take a pause here.